Chapter 59. The Heart of Stone. The crater's floor was a mosaic of cracked earth and jagged obsidian, radiating outward from a single massive fissure at its center. Every few seconds, the ground shuddered, and a deep rumble rolled through the air, as if something enormous was breathing beneath them. The raven-helmed commander stood on the far side, motionless except for the faint blue glow of the runes along his armor. Beside him, the fissure widened, and something began to rise. At first, it was just a wall of rock. Then it moved. A towering figure emerged, twice the height of the volcanic guardian, its body made of colossal slabs of stone, bound together by glowing blue energy. Chunks of crystal jutted from its shoulders and arms, each pulsing in rhythm with the tremors. "The last storm," the commander said, voice carrying across the crater, "is mine to wield. You will not leave here." The Guardian's first strike. The stone colossus raised one massive foot and slammed it down. The shockwave cracked the ground like glass, sending jagged spikes of rock shooting upward. Brinna went heavy, planting herself and absorbing the quake, while Tillo's floating swords darted forward to deflect flying shards. Nessa blurred around the spikes in lightning-fast bursts, closing in on the Guardian's legs. Vireza stopped time for 6 seconds, enough for Nessa to jam an explosive into one of the crystal growths and for Tillo's blades to position for a perfect strike. When time resumed, the explosion shattered the crystal, and the Guardian roared in a voice like grinding mountains. The commander joins in. The raven-helmed commander raised his gauntleted hands. The blue runes flared, and walls of stone erupted between the heroes, splitting them apart. Vireza found herself face to face with him. He moved fast, faster than she expected for someone in full armor, striking with gauntlet blades that forced her to block with the haft of her staff. "You've been running from me since the fortress," she hissed. He parried her next strike effortlessly. "No, I've been letting you get here." Splitting the fight, on the other side of the walls, Brinna and Nessa worked together to topple one of the Guardian's legs. Brinna went feather light to leap high and heavy again to slam her hammer into a knee joint, while Nessa's electrically charged strikes sparked through the cracks. Tillo, stuck between a half-collapsed wall and the Guardian's swinging arm, spun his swords defensively in a tight circle. "I could use a little help here." Brinna grinned. "On my way." She shifted weight to feather light, vaulting the wall and crashing down beside him with a blow that knocked the Guardian's arm aside. Turning the tide, Vireza feinted a wide strike at the commander, only to stop time again. In the frozen stillness, she dashed past him, dragging the tip of her staff across the runes on his back armor. When time snapped back, the lines fizzled and dimmed. The commander staggered, his control over the Guardian faltering. "Now," she shouted. Brinna, Tillo, and Nessa all struck in perfect unison, hammer, blade, and charged dagger slamming into the Guardian's core crystal. Cracks spread like lightning until the entire thing exploded into a rain of stone. The commander's retreat. The commander dropped to one knee, blue light leaking from his armor. For a moment, it looked like he'd fight to the death. But then the ground opened beneath him in a swirl of earth and dust, and he vanished into it. The last of the storm above them unraveled, the green lightning fading into a gray, calm sky. Brinna let out a slow breath. That's it. All 4 storms are gone. Vireza wasn't smiling. Maybe, but he's still out there. Nessa sheathed her daggers. "Then we hunt him next." Tillo's grin was thin. "And this time, he doesn't get to run." Chapter 60. The calm before. The crater was eerily quiet. No wind, no tremors. Just the occasional scrape of loose stones settling into place. The sky above was gray and still, a stark contrast to the chaos that had raged moments ago. They made camp on the crater's edge, too wary to descend the mountain immediately. Brinna tended the war goat, running a hand down its flank, as if the steady rhythm could keep her own thoughts grounded. Vireza sat apart, staring at the fragment of the commander's armor she'd wrenched free in the fight. The blue runes were dead now, but their carved shapes remained sharp, deliberate. Tillo finally broke the silence. "So, we win? Or was that just the warm-up?" Nessa's eyes flicked to Vireza. "She doesn't think we won." The pattern. Vireza turned the armor fragment in her hands. 4 storms, each bound to an elemental convergence point. The commander didn't just use them, he was feeding them. Brenna frowned. Then why destroy them? Because, Vereza said slowly, once all 4 storms are gone, nothing holds back whatever's underneath the convergences. The storms weren't the weapon, they were the seal. Tilo stared. So you're saying we just unlocked something? Yes, Vereza's voice was grim, and I think that's exactly what he wanted. Signs in the sky. That night the horizon flickered with strange light. Not fire, not lightning, but a deep golden glow pulsing slowly. As if in time with a heartbeat, the glow came from 4 distinct points, one where each storm had been. Britha gripped her hammer tighter. Whatever it is, it's waking. Nessa's gaze was fixed north, and I'd bet anything the commander's heading there right now. The message. In the morning, they found it, a strip of black cloth, pinned to the ground with a dagger, fluttering in the cold breeze. The cloth bore the raven insignia in silver thread, and beneath it was a single sentence written in neat, precise handwriting. Thank you for opening the way. Meet me at the eye. Vereza folded the cloth slowly, her jaw set. We've been playing his game since the start. Tilo shrugged. Fine, let's finish it. Chapter 61. The Road to the Eye. They descended the mountain into a world already shifting under unseen forces. The path that should have led into the foothills had fractured, great slabs of rock floating a few feet above the ground, as if gravity had forgotten them. Far in the distance, a single column of golden light pierced the sky, its base hidden beyond the horizon. Even from here, it pulsed like a heartbeat. That's it, Nessa said quietly. That's the eye. Brenna adjusted her grip on her hammer. And that's where he's waiting. Tilo glanced at the floating rocks, guessing we're not taking the scenic route. The breaking world. The closer they drew to the light, the stranger the land became. Forests hung suspended in mid-air, roots dangling into nothing. Rivers flowed upward into the sky, dissolving into clouds that pulsed with the same golden glow. In one stretch of open plain, they found the ruins of a village. But the buildings weren't burned or broken. They'd been peeled apart, walls separated into thin sheets that hovered inches from where they belonged. Vereza ran her fingers over a floating plank. This isn't destruction, it's unraveling. First warning. By midday, the ground beneath them began to tilt, as if the land itself were sliding toward the golden column. From the shifting earth ahead, fissures split open, and from them rose creatures unlike any they'd seen. Humanoid in shape, but made entirely of jagged shards of stone, wood, and metal, all held together by golden light. Their forms flickered, as if the pieces wanted to fly apart, but something was forcing them to stay whole. The leader tilted its head in a disturbingly human motion. Shards of the Stormbreakers, it said in a voice that was many voices at once. The eye will consume you. Testing the defenses. The creatures attacked in perfect synchronization. Brenna went heavy to block the first wave, her hammer ringing against the shards like striking a bell. Tilo's floating swords darted between the gaps, slicing off chunks of material. But the golden light reassembled them instantly. Nessa darted through their ranks in a blur of speed, her electric strike scattering shards, yet the pieces kept snapping back together. Vereza stopped time for 6 seconds, scanning the battlefield, and saw it. The light binding the creatures together pulsed in the same rhythm as the distant column. They're tethered to the eye, she shouted, as time snapped back. We have to break the connection or they'll never fall. A glimpse of the eye's power. Working together, they herded the creatures toward a fissure. Vereza unleashed a pinpoint lightning strike into the crack, and golden light erupted upward in a violent surge. The tether snapped, and the shard creatures fell apart into inert piles of debris. But for a heartbeat, they all saw what lay beyond the light. A vast, shifting shape, too large to comprehend, moving at the base of the eye. Brenna's knuckles whitened on her hammer. That's what he's waking up. Vereza's voice was low. Then we get there before it's fully awake. Chapter 62. The Eye Opens. The golden column grew brighter with every step, its heartbeat thudding in their bones. The land around it was no longer a place so much as a collision. Mountains rose sideways, rivers looped into spirals midair, and massive chunks of earth floated lazily above the ground. At the center of it all was the eye, a perfect sphere of golden light suspended above a crater. Threads of the same light connected it to the ground in 4 directions. each one leading toward where the storms had once raged, and beneath it stood the raven-helmed commander. His armor was different now, reforged with crystal shards from each storm. The runes along his body burned a deep gold instead of blue, and the earth at his feet rippled outward in concentric circles with every step he took. "You've brought the keys," he said, voice carrying easily over the warped wind, "and with them the seal is broken." The ritual around the crater. 4 massive stone pylons jutted upward, each carved with the elemental symbols: flame, wind, water, earth. At the top of each pylon, storm energy crackled, siphoning from invisible sources and feeding into the eye. The commander raised his hands, and the threads of light tightened, pulling the sphere lower. The golden glow brightened until it hurt to look at, and the heartbeat became a pounding drumbeat in their skulls. Brenna took a step forward, planting her hammer into the warped ground. "We end it here." Reality breaks. The moment they moved, the eye reacted. The ground beneath them shattered into floating fragments, each piece drifting in different directions. Gravity bent sideways, pulling them toward the wrong edges of the battlefield. Tillo cursed as his floating sword spun wildly, trying to adjust to the shifting pull. "I hate magic battlefields." Nessa blurred between floating chunks of rock, her speed letting her find temporary footing where the others would have fallen. "The pylons," she shouted. "Break them and the ritual stops." The first clash. The commander moved to intercept, his armor glowing brighter with every strike he deflected. Brenna went heavy to slam into him head-on, each impact sending shockwaves through the floating platforms. Vereza stopped time for 6 seconds, long enough to position herself on a pylon and blast it with concentrated fire and lightning. The stone cracked, but the golden threads tried to knit it back together. "They're healing," she shouted as time resumed. "Then hit harder," Brenna bellowed, knocking the commander back with a two-handed swing. The eye watches. For a brief moment, the golden sphere turned, and though it had no features, they could feel it looking at them. A voice, deeper than the storms, filled their minds. 4 keys, 4 blows, open the way. Vereza's expression darkened. "It's not just him. The eye wants this too." Nessa's voice was steady, but her grip on her daggers was tight. "Then we fight both."